My number two best film of 2022 is a film we already talked about on the podcast. So Top Gun Maverick.
Mhm.
I still think, I mean, if I had to say movie of the year that represents the year, I would put this. And not represents the year in the sense of like what we talked about on our podcast, but a year in film. I think this movie will go down as historic for not only just returning people to the movies, but also being so damn good. I think
Yeah.
honestly is what this comes down to. I mean, this is making blockbuster films like this, making them well is a very hard thing to do.
Hmm.
The way that they crafted this movie from a story perspective, the motivations Maverick had, how he gets brought back in, dealing with Val Kilmer's character and the way that they did, and then just setting up the action. And they build, they do a lot of, test runs to explain to the audience basically, okay, this is what's going on. This is how it's going to work. So you understand the stakes, you understand all the mechanics. So when they finally get at the end to the mission that they have to go on, every little, oh my God, now they're going to get the part where it's going to be like this. What's going to happen? And they do such a good job. It's kind of action exposition in a way. It's laying that groundwork. But when they're doing it, you don't even realize it's going on.
Totally.
And those scenes work so well too. I mean, probably like my favorite sequence in the movie is when Tom, he basically gets fired and they're trying to do this impossible run. And then all of a sudden he just jumps in his plane and proves that this run can happen in under 2 minutes or whatever the exact time thing is. And he just he does it and he shows everyone that, no, this is possible. This is the way that you do it. That whole sequence, I'll just cue it up on YouTube every so often. I just have to rewatch that because it's so, just so incredible. And I do think this film should have won Best Picture. I was rooting for it as an upset. Thought maybe it was possible. When Tom wasn't there, I was like, okay, this isn't gonna happen. But I've seen the film several times since watching in theaters, and I'm again, like I said in the other episode, I'm not a Top Gun fan. I did not like the original. I still don't. This wasn't a nostalgia play for me.
Yeah.
The movie on itself just blew me out of the water.
Yeah.
What
No,
about
I'm
you?
with you. Love this movie as well. This is definitely in my top 10, maybe top six for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you
Yeah.
said, like this is not easy to do. And it's sort of like, how do I say this? It's blockbuster filmmaking that respects the intellect of the audience. I
Yes.
think
Yes.
what
Yes.
I don't like a lot about the big sort of movies is that they're so dumbed down by committee that at some point the stakes feel meaningless, and that's what happens with a lot of Marvel movies, especially recently, even though I haven't watched one in 2 years. But I think this is sort of blockbuster filmmaking, star power,
Oh yeah.
great technology, great storytelling, all working in harmony and elevating each other and showing what we can do today with movies, with everything that we have at our disposal. So yeah, this is kind of a crown jewel moment. And it's sort of like you said, showing the world this is what you can do with blockbuster filmmaking. It's also a movie to be studied, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Like that's why again I thought it wasn't just throwing an Oscar nomination to this movie as, oh, well, it's the biggest,
Yeah, like
one
the
of the biggest
screenplay
films.
nomination is deserving.
100%. I thought it had a chance to actually win, to be honest, for a second. I did think it. I did think it had a chance, but it's like the craft involved, and also just Tom, right? I mean, not only is he
It's
the
all
last movie star
stemming from there.
but his charisma is amazing. But then also the fact that there's enough of a supporting cast that he works really well off of. He's not so, egotistical that he has to take the whole movie over whenever he's on screen. Like he shares the screen with these actors in the moments that need it. And then he becomes center stage in the moments that need that. Like everything he does in this film, even with his persona, serves the greater good of the movie. And I think that is why he is the best of the best when it comes to movie stars, because he understands how to walk that line. Like sometimes all I want to see is Tom do something amazing, but other times I want to see Tom give space to a Glenn Powell or to a John Hamm just for a moment, a little scene, something there. So he's not sucking the oxygen out of every part of the whole film, which sometimes movie stars in these vehicles can do that. So I just want to throw it again to him of just, again, I think he should have been nominated for Best Actor, not won, but nominated for what he did in this role. This movie will stand the test of time easily.
I think what you just said to me is the big difference between him and Jim Cameron. You can see Jim in every frame of that movie.
Yes.
And sometimes it works, like we talked about, but when it doesn't work, it's because he himself is in the way of his toys and all of it, versus Tom has that restraint to step away and make room for the story. He really, and you hear him talk, like he really believes and lives by this motto of like, this is a team sport. He understands every department and appreciates and cares about those departments, also the people behind them.
Yes.
And he knows that when they're all elevated, the movie also elevates. So
exactly.
And I think he's applied his learnings and, you know, not only his entire career, but also the entire Mission Impossible series and applied on this movie. This is by far the best of the best, I think. If not, it's unfair to kind of put those two in the same mold, but they are now. For me, Ethan Hunt and Maverick there's not much. They're
well,
similar.
Tom Cruise. They're both Tom
Cruise. It's the same person, essentially.
Right. Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.